Drink. Okay, can you hear me, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Please
Yes,
continue.
ma'am.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Discussing about water, hydration is very important. Drink at least 2 to 3 glasses of water at Sehri and avoid too much tea and coffee because they can increase dehydration. I'm going to discuss some common mistakes at Sehri. Let me share some common mistakes. Number one, only tea and biscuits, very oily and fried foods, too much salty food and skipping सहरी completely. जैसे नबी सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने फरमाया कि सहरी को स्किप मत करें क्योंकि सहरी में बरकत होती है. So that's why skipping सहरी can make you feel very weak during the day. Overeating is also not good. It makes you feel heavy and sleepy. So example of a healthy सहरी plate. Number one, here is one example. You can take one boiled egg. If not, you can take some omelette in the form of omelette. So one whole wheat roti or a small bowl of oat. It is very important because it has complex carbs, so you will feel energized during the day. Then after 15 to 20 minutes of gap, take one bowl of yogurt, then one fruit like apple or banana. That is enough. And then at the end of the seri, after some gap like 15 to 20 minutes, take 2 glasses of water. 2 glass of water is enough. So simple, balanced and healthy. So remember that Ramadan is not. Ji,
हाँ
please.
मैंने तभी ज्वाइन किया.
You have any question? So remember that Ramadan is just not about staying hungry. It is about staying strong, focused, and productive. Healthy Sehri helps you stay energetic, avoid headaches, improve your concentration, perform your daily work, and worship, better. So this Ramadan, do not just eat more, eat smart. Healthy fasting starts with healthy Sehri. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any question, you can ask. Thank you so much. May you
Thank
all
you
have
so
a
much,
healthy and blessed Ramadan.
ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. For now, moving towards our next speaker is Samra Tariq, senior
Sabine, your voice is
inpatient
distorted. Sabine,
audible.
yes, but your voice is distorted, not clear.
How it is now?
Still,
Mm, Paji.
now it's better.
Okay.
Yes, go
So
ahead.
now moving towards our next speaker, it is my pleasure to introduce Ms. Samra Tariq. She has served as a senior inpatient dietitian at Hamid Latif Hospital, where she specialized in inpatient dietary management and medical nutrition therapy, where delivering evidence-based nutritional care across a wide range of clinical cases. Alongside her clinical role, she is also a dedicated nutrition instructor training undergraduate students of nutrition and dietetics, and mentoring future professionals in the field. She is currently working as a bariatric dietitian with expertise in weight management and metabolic health. Moreover, she has recently published a cookbook focused on the dietary management of IBSD, providing practical and patient centered nutritional solutions. So, we are truly pleased to have her with us today. Please join me in welcoming our next speaker, Ms. Samra Tariq, to present her talk in 7 minutes. Over to you, ma'am. Thank you for joining us. Please start your talk.
Audible? Yes,
Ma'am Samra, you can start now.
okay. Assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope everyone is doing great. Am I audible?
Miss Samra, your voice is too low.
Okay. Okay, am I audible?
Yes, Nads.
Okay, okay. So, first of all, thank you so much, and it's an honor for me to be here today to share my insights on fasting from both scientific and Sunnah point of view. So, let me start my talk today, and it's all about fasting, what we can eat, and what are the benefits of fasting on our body, and how we can manage our dietary pattern while eating from our
नहीं
plate.
हो रहा
All right. So, fasting, if I
मैं
would,
तो 10 से 4 आधा हो गया
all right. So basically, fasting is a journey. It's a journey of discipline, gratitude, and transformation. So even in Sunnah, and even in Islam, the word fasting is som, which mean to restrain ourselves from such act, from food, from drinking. So fasting is a whole practice where we ourselves restrict us from different kind of unhealthy food options, from different activities. So basically it's a practice. This 1 month is a practice month. You can implement this practice to your whole year. So, there are certain things happening in your body while you are fasting. Let me dive into the in terms of science. When you stop eating like for 12 hours, for 13 hours, what happened in your body? Your body firstly use glycogen to use its energy, and afterwards your body shift when glycogen stores are depleted, it shifts toward fat storages. So this metabolic shift is a very good sign, has a very good sign on your body as well. It helps to reduce inflammation. What happened when you fast for 12 hours, for straight 12 hours, 13 hours, your digestive system, it takes some break. The inflammation in your body, it gets decreases with fasting. Your energy level will be boosted. How your energy levels will be boosted? In some people, they feel mental clarity while fasting, but in some people they might experience fatigue and weakness. Otherwise, their because of their blood sugar level drop. So what happens when you do not take proper sehri, when you are not taking proper iftar, and when you are skipping your dinner, most importantly, unhealthy form of options you took in your sahur, iftar, and at your dinner times, all of these, they just disturbing your gut. They can even lead you towards dehydration. These type of things are, you can say, they are short term. It can get better and it can be improved when your sahur, when your iftar, and when your dinner are done properly. So if these are what science is saying, this is what the your body is saying. So now let me talk about what happened when you fast. There are certain psychological and emotional benefits which we get from fasting. It's not just a metabolic process of just not eating food, not drinking water for certain period of time. It's also training your mind. It helps you to self control yourself. It maintains discipline. And fasting is also helping you to practice patience throughout this whole month. Being a Muslim, in different point of view, in different chapters of Quran, in different ayah in Qurans, it's mentioned for fasting. So fasting, it helps us to be patient, to be disciplined, to be self-controlled. And I guess majority of my audience, they are from medical field, they are practicing somewhere, or they are just learning medical field. So what happened while fasting? We learn gratitude, we learn empathy. All of these, they help us to willingly control ourselves from our desires. So this will also help you to restrain yourself from unhealthy eating patterns. While breaking your fast in Sunnah, our Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam practiced to break his fast with date and a glass of plain water. Date is a full of nutrition. If we talk about dates, they are natural, they have natural sugars, some amount of fiber, it some minerals in dates, and Dates helps you in your proper digestion. So when you break your fast with dates, it gives you a bit of content of sugar, which helps you to reduce your low blood sugar levels, which you are feeling throughout your day. And water is a better solution for hydration. If I would talk about what you can eat in your iftar, so break your fast with date and a glass of water. Take some break. You can take a namaz break, and afterwards you can have your iftar. But if you are feeling hungry, low in energy, you can eat some fruits as well. So prefer to choose whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made, either it's fruits, either it's vegetable. It's prefer to take a plant-based source, not anything which a human make. So you can have some fruit chaat, half cup of fruit chaat without any added sugars, without any added flavors. You can take fruit chaat. Then you can even take some yogurt smoothies and something which is made from yogurt, some potato and chana chaat, the chickpea chaat, which we usually take in our iftar time. So, talking about drinks, prefer not to take any sugary drink, any soda drink, because for 12 to 13 hours, your sugar levels are already dropped. When you take instant options of sugar, your blood sugar level will spike, because fasting, it helps you in improving your insulin sensitivity. If you just start using sodas and sugary drinks, it will spike your blood sugar level, which is not a good option. So the other thing is being a Muslim, and in Asian community, our dining tables are filled with fried food items or with fast food. So you have to choose the options which have less amount of fat. If you still crave for such options, you can just add them at the end of your iftar. You can have fruits, vegetable, good amount of water, and at the end you can have your either it's a samosa, pakora, and any other thing which you usually eat. So this should be with the proper chewing. You should not chew faster. And lastly, do not skip dinner, because most of the time when you eat fat in your iftar time, you eat fatty food, fried food items, what happened, your digestion get disturbed, and usually you feel lethargy and weakness, you want to sleep and you want to skip your dinner. So do not skip your dinner. Eat something in your dinner. It should be good in protein options. You can have chicken, mutton, beef, eggs, lentils, legumes, chickpeas, any option from these you can have, because the whole day your body is in a process of breaking protein and breaking fat in your body. And at the time of dinner, you must have something from protein sources. And lastly, this should be my last point of today's talk. Focus on your hydration, because most of the time when you are breaking fast, either you are overloading your fluid or either you are drinking less water. So you have to drink 7 to 8 glasses. You can say either minimum or maximum according to your body weight. You just have to adjust your fluid content, but make sure in between your iftar and suhoor, you have to drink water with proper gaps. Like after every 1 hour, when you are not sleeping, you can have water in the form of even mint juice, lemonade. You can drink your water to improve your hydration, because dehydration and overhydration, both of these are common symptoms in people who are not focusing what they have to drink and how much they have to drink in their sahur and iftar time. So hope so this would be help you. If you are your background is from nutrition, you can guide your patient, you can guide your family to have a better option in sahur. So let's end my talk over here. Fasting, it is a powerful tool for us being a Muslim. It helps our soul to be healed, our body to be healed. So just think positively, just control yourself, just practice as much deen as much you want to practice, and be grateful for whatever you are having on your dining table, whatever you are having in your plate. Just be grateful, be thankful to Allah to bless us with this beautiful month in which we can be so much light in you just want to refresh your soul. Just practice your month happily and positively. Hope so you will get some positive message. Take care everyone, and a very happy Ramadan. If you have any question, you can drop in the chat box. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am, for such a useful talk and your instructions. Now, audience, we can move toward our question answer session. If you have any kind of question, you can post it in the chat box, or you may unmute your mic to ask your questions or to any of our speakers. Students, you may ask your questions.
Okay, there is a question in a chat box from Asma Iqbal. How should supplements intake be balanced during Ramadan?
Any of our speakers can answer this. Ma'am Tasneem, are you there? Are you available? Can you answer this question?
Yes, I'm available. I was thinking there is another question as well related to diabetes. So should I answer both questions or I should
Yes.
answer the diabetes
Yes,
question?
yes, you can.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. You can answer both.
Okay, thank you so much. Asma, basically the supplements, it also depends on which kind of supplement you're taking. If you're talking about the protein supplements, it should be taken with the proteins. Like for example, if you're taking protein powder, it should be added in your beverage with the dairy, like milkshake or milk or anything made with the dairy products. Or it can be, if it's a tasteless protein powder, it can be added in your dal or your salan as well. But when you're talking about the multivitamins, they should be consumed with the food. So it is preferred that when you're taking your dinner, you should take your multivitamin with your main meal, the roti, salan, and the stuff. If you have any other kind of supplement in your mind, or if you're taking a calcium supplement, I believe it should also be taken with your dairy, and protein supplement should also be taken with the dairy or any other protein source. So I guess that's all we usually take. Multivitamin should be taken with the main meal. And I hope it answers the question. The next question is how to reduce weight or manage weight for a woman who is 45-year old and type 2 diabetes and hypertensive patient. So weight reduction, if you're talking about the carbohydrates, if you're talking about the diabetes, it's about the carbohydrates. It's all the international guidelines which are telling me. But when you're talking about the obesity, it's a calorie deficit, it's a calorie restriction. And being the dietitians, we all know that 1 gram of carbohydrates provides 4 calories, 1 gram of proteins provide 4 calories, while 1 gram of fats provide 9 calories. So maximum benefit you can get is from reducing the fat. But the recent recommendations from all over the world, globally, all guidelines are telling us that whatever the macronutrient composition we use, but at the end, if the calories are within the normal range, if the 1,000 calories is not more than 1,000 calories, then we can reduce weight. So some people prefer to avoid breads, but fiber should be there, calcium should be there, and protein should be there. If and you can manage it, but if you have a lot of fat or oil in your salan, then you cannot stay within 1,000 calories. For losing weight, oil should be less and physical activity should be more. So Ramzan is a good time since you cannot munch all through the day and you just have 2 meals to manage it. So and you have a whole day to plan your iftar, so you can make healthy iftar without too much oil and you can lose weight. And iron supplements. Iron supplements should be not be consumed with the dairy. Definitely, because iron and calcium compete for their absorption in the small intestine. So iron should be taken with the main meal, like you're taking your sabzi, salan and stuff, and but no dairy, no yogurt, no milk with that meal. So you can get the benefit from both of the micronutrients. हम हॉस्टल वाले सेहरी टाइम कुछ मिलता नहीं, जो मिलता है वो अच्छा नहीं लगता, लाइक पराठा एंड सालन, देन ओनली पानी से रोजा रखना पड़ता है, क्या करना चाहिए ऐसी सिचुएशन में? सो आई ट्रांसलेट इट इन इंग्लिश. Basically the question is the people, our students who are living in the dorms or in the hostels, and they usually in Pakistan they usually get a paratha, a bread with a lot of oil in it, and a salan with a lot of oil in it, and they don't have much of a choice. So, planning starts a night before. You should plan a day before what you're going to eat at Seri. I'm sure if you're living in a mess, you can ask them to boil an egg for you. That's the easiest thing they can do. So, mess can arrange boiled eggs, or maybe you have a small kitchenette on your floor where you can get up early. You can have a cup of milk. If you don't have fresh milk or you don't have fridge, then you can have buy those Tetra packs, 250 ml milk packs. I'm not talking about the brand milk pack. I'm taking a pack of milk. So 250 ml milk, which Tetra packs, which they have a long shelf life, and you can keep it at the room temperature, and expiry starts when you open it. So having a cup of milk and a boiled egg is a sufficient. You are getting almost 14 gram of protein, some fats and some carbohydrates in this. So that should be enough. It's better than just taking a milk. And other than that, if you have a blender, you can make milkshake, and you can ask them if they can arrange a simple egg for you and make a roti for you instead of paratha, or make less oil on paratha. So roti anda should be fine, and milk and or boiled egg should be fine, or maybe you can buy cornflakes with milk, and that should suffice the purpose. Calcium supplement should be taken with dairy. They should not be taken with the dal or sabzi, because iron and calcium, especially the non-heme iron, which is available in vegetables and lentils, that's needs vitamin C for its absorption. So its absorption is lowered by the taking calcium at the same time. So calcium can be taken with the dairy or just by alone by itself, but not with the foods having iron. Anything else? Next question, should I answer or other speakers want to answer?
Ma'am, if you want to, you can, because already we are in the flow, so you can.
Okay. My aunt is managing her diet, but her weight is not reducing. Actually, her belly tissues loose after surgery of uterine fibroids 2 years ago. So, how to manage? Can you help? Basically, she should keep a food diary. A food diary means she should record whatever she is eating, because we usually forget what we have eaten throughout the day. By keeping a food diary and keeping a track how much oil she puts in her salan and for how many people. She has to make sure that her plate, her salan, should not be having more than 1 teaspoon of oil. And this can be easily managed by dividing the number of teaspoons with the number of people who are consuming that food. And usually when onion and garlic are placed raw, the salan is usually in Pakistani cuisine does not cook well. So it should be blended, and number of teaspoons per person should be added. Red chili should be fried in the oil so it won't stay raw and affect the won't be able to cause ulcers in the stomach. And by blending the onion garlic, you can make a good gravy. So she should make the food like this and then remove her salan and add the extra oil for the rest of the family if they are not happy from that kind of food. And for the belly muscles, you should try to do some abdominal exercises. Many YouTube videos are available for abdominal exercises for strengthening abdominal muscles, and it can help her. Regarding the magnesium glycinate supplements, I need to do some working. I'm not sure about that. If another speakers know about it, they can respond. And drinks for diabetic patients during Ramadan, that can be sugar-free sherbet is available in market. Sugar-free lemonade can be used. Some low glycemic index fruits like an apple or guava and orange can be blended. One fruit per one cup of water can be added in it, and a kachi lassi with a small amount of milk or yogurt with a lot of water plus salt can be used. So this is the way we can manage. Sattu is a high fiber drink which is locally available. If it is made without sugar, it is just amazing taste. Everybody would love it. Does the AMDR changes for patients with diabetes during Ramadan, and what should be the percentage of carbs, fats, and protein that is generally advised for diabetics in Sehri and Iftar? For example, if we are to take 200 gram of carbs, how much we should be taken in Sehri and how much in Iftar? So as I mentioned in my talk, 30 to 40% carbohydrate should be taken in Sehri, 10 to 15% in iftar, then again 30 to 40 or 45% should be taken in iftar, and if needed another 10% can be taken as a bedtime snack. And thank you so much for giving the chance. And desi ghee or the saturated fat should be 10 less than 10% of the whole day's calories. So if we are taking 1,000 calories diet chart, it means that 100 calories can be come from saturated fat, and 1 teaspoon desi ghee provides almost 45 calories. So it means the whole day 2 teaspoon of desi ghee can be used if we are consuming a 1,000 calorie diet chart. I hope answers are there. As we are fasting, what is the best time to exercise for weight loss during Ramadan? Is after iftar. Also, which type of exercise is recommended considering that energy levels are low? After iftar, energy level is very high, and everybody can even run for 30 minutes. International guidelines tell us that almost 5 days a week, 30-minute cardio exercise should be there. Cardio means when your heart rate goes above 100, it can be a light jogging, running, or walking. And plus 2 to 3 days a week, resistance exercise or weight training should be there. It can be done at home, it can be done in the gym. So the best time to do exercise is after iftar, between iftar and sehri time.
Someone asked about calcium, I guess magnesium glycinate. So I want to add that you can take at least 200 to 400 mg per daily, but you can take it usually after iftar or before bedtime, because it can be taken with or without food. It's your choice, but it is because it is gentle on the stomach. So do not take with calcium, iron, or zinc at the same time. At least keep 2 hours gap. Drink enough water during non-fasting hours. So before it supports your sleep, relaxation, muscle cramps, and blood sugar controls. So take it properly. Thank you. Any other question?
So there's
Amna, you can answer the rest of the questions. There is another
Yes,
question
please.
about limu pani, or Samra, you can answer.
Can we drink limu pani in iftar without sugar? Yeah, it is very good. Limu pani is low in energy, is low in sugar, so you can add it, and it will increase your energy level drastically. So you can add it in your iftari. Any other question?
Ma'am, Asma Iqbal is asking about the best time to take vitamin D and folic acid in Ramadan.
Okay, so in Ramadan, you can take with a meal that contains some fat like eggs, milk, or nuts. Vitamin D is because it is fat soluble, so it can be taken any time of the day. But usually after sehri, it is recommended you can take it after sehri or iftar during Ramadan. All right, consistency is more important, so take it with some milk or egg. Yeah, anything else?
There is no other question in chat box, but I have a question about the iron supplements. The most of the doctor and dietitians always recommended that you should take iron supplements empty stomach or either with vitamin C. So which one is preferred? Anyone
Yeah,
want to clear
yeah.
my?
Yes, you can take iron supplement after iftar or 2 hours after a meal, any meal, and avoid taking on an empty stomach. All right, and take with vitamin C. Yes, because vitamin C improve its absorption. So take iron supplement with vitamin C and drink a small glass of orange juice or eat a few slices of lemon. It is very good.
Actually, just want to ask the comparison. Is it better to take an empty stomach or either with
Okay.
vitamin C?
No,
Okay.
with vitamin C.
Actually, let me talk about it. Most of the time on iron supplements, it's mentioned to take iron supplement for better absorption on empty stomach. But those who are suffering from any gastric issue, either they are feeling bloated, pain in their stomach, they should avoid taking iron supplements empty stomach because it can even cause irritation and can cause pain. So yes, as Dr. Amna has said, that you can take iron supplement post meal, and as Ms. Tasneem already said about it, to take iron supplement, there should be gap between iron and calcium. Otherwise, you can take iron supplement post meal. That would be a better option because most of the time people are not aware of their gastric problem, so they can start taking iron supplements on empty stomach, which is causing more irritation in their stomach lining.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss
Ma'am,
Samira.
Ma'am, Sania is asking about the most suitable time for walk and exercise in Ramadan.
After iftar. So, because you don't know how hard your fast will be, sometimes things become very hectic and you can end up being very lethargic. So, when you have a freedom to eat and drink, it's a good time to between iftar and dinner or after dinner. Some people sleep during the night, some people don't. Just make sure the best time is like maybe 30 minutes after the dinner or something.
Okay, ma'am.
The question in the chat box, someone is saying that some people are feeling heavy after taking their iron supplement, or they are feeling just their iron supplement is stuck in their throat. So iron supplements, most of the iron supplements which are usually available in market, sometimes they are larger in size. People don't like their taste because sometimes their taste is a bit bitter. So you can shift your iron, consult your dietitian or your physician if your iron supplements are not suitable for you. They can even cause you constipation, bloating, diarrhea, the change in your tongue taste. So consult your physician. You can switch your iron supplement if they are causing any symptoms while taking those supplements. And if you want to avoid, like you don't want to feel that they can be stuck in your throat, you can just finish your meal, and at the last few bites you can take your iron supplement and you can start eating. So your esophagus will be practiced of eating and peristalsis movement, so it can also help you to swallow your iron supplement while eating your food's last bites.
Ma'am, Noor
Right.
Fatma is asking for type 1 diabetes management in Ramadan for those who are on insulin.
It's very tough. It's a very sensitive matter. because these are insulin dependent persons, and it has to needs very close monitoring. Sometimes people need insulin pumps and continuous glucose monitoring systems for making sure that their blood glucose levels within normal range. Many a times, if their glycemic control is not good, endocrinologist or doctors don't allow them to that they're fit to fast. So there is no yes or no answer for that. It really depends on the glycemic control of that person, of the child. Usually they are children. So we cannot say, because definitely you have to get the insulin side by side, and you need the snacks. Even if you know the guidelines, we have to have 3 meals and 2 carbohydrate snacks for type 1
Yes.
diabetics as well. So there's no one size fits all.
Okay, ma'am. Seher Banu is asking, after how much time should we change the medicine?
Which medicine she is asking? She's asking about supplements or the medicine for any disease.
She's asking for the medicines of diabetic patients.
The allopathic medicines related to diabetes, we cannot change because we are not the medical doctors. So, medicine can only be changed by the medical doctor, your physician, your endocrinologist. And related to Ramadan, I just mentioned in my talk that 6 weeks prior to Ramadan, you should visit your doctor and they will tell you what dosage should be changed when you start fasting.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you
you
so
very much.
much. Thank you so much,
Sunil,
ma'am. I think we have just 1 minute
yes,
to
yes.
end our meeting. We are truly thankful to all our speakers, Ms. Tasneem Ali, Dr. Amna Nasira Basi, and Ms. Samra Tariq, for sharing their valuable insights and for joining us today, giving us their precious time. I'm greatly thankful, and I have personally enjoyed this webinar. This was more than the expectations. Truly, I have no words to appreciate. It was amazing. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much, audience. The rest of your questions will be answered. You may ask in the WhatsApp group. We will send your questions forward to the speakers and may answer to you in the early. Audience, you may go now. We look forward to connecting with you again in our upcoming sessions as we continue exploring health and nutrition strategies for Ramadan. Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a good evening. Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz. Thank you very much for inviting. Allah
Okay.
Hafiz.
Thank you so
Allah
much.